Hey guys, welcome to Tass Tips, Episode 5, Mastering Games. Today we're going to go and take everything that we've taught you before and we're going to apply it to high-end gameplay. Once you've already done well in a game, how you can go and get a high score and be the best and dominate all your friends. As a special guest for everything, I'm here with my main man, MrRubix. He's a man of few words, but his gameplay speaks for itself. In this two-part special episode, we're going to go and show you and answer your questions as to how you get to the top of the leaderboards.
Even though we will be talking a little bit about the strategy behind how to do well in these games, I'd first like to touch on the psychology behind some of it. One of the most important things that you can do going into a game is to have the right attitude. If you go into a new game and you automatically have this assumption that you're only going to be getting so far, or that you won't be able to achieve a certain score, you're most likely going to be having a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. I can't count the number of times where all the players in Impossible is Nothing, for example, have said, oh, this given limit, this score is not possible to do. We can only get this far. And then someone ends up beating that score, and then we realize that what we thought was impossible before actually was far from it. It's important to go into a game free of assumption in terms of what's possible and what isn't. And sometimes we have no idea how possible something may be. But one of the most important things that you can do is to collaborate and work with teams.
Yeah, we can't stress that enough, guys. Seriously. Teamwork, collaboration, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I mean, literally, it sounds cliche, but it's true. You know, we keep referring back to Impossible is Nothing, which is our chat room on Congregate, but it's true. A lot of us guys in there, we will work together, a new game will be released, and all we're going to want to do is bounce strategy and ideas off each other. Say, you know, we hit a cap between us, we're all right around the same time or score on a game, then all of a sudden Rubik's here, oh crap, I figured out I can shave 5 seconds off my time. He explains how to do it, then Zaris comes in and he shaves another 3 seconds off beyond that. Then he explains how to do it. Then I come back and I shave a couple more, and all of a sudden we're now 10 seconds past where we were 15 minutes ago, all because we worked together. Where if we hadn't, we would have just been stuck. We would have thought, oh, I can't do any better than that, and boom, we would have given up. There wouldn't have been any optimization. We wouldn't have gotten on that leaderboard. It's very important. We cannot stress it enough. I've mentioned it in other videos. Teamwork is so essential to getting better and improving your scores on games.
One of the main strengths behind working together in teams is the notion that even if everyone's at a sort of standstill, even if you don't know how to solve a given problem, an idea you propose might spark an idea in another person that you're working with. And together, this sort of generation of ideas helps each other achieve a common goal of doing better in these games.
It's that think tank mentality that I mentioned in the last episode, which is really why we're going this and bringing this topic to you now, because it takes the ideas from the gaming within constraints topic and expands upon it and brings it further and takes it to a new level. So what we want to do is we want to give you what we think are 5 different forms of optimization. We're going to give you some examples and some tips and advice for those different types of optimization as to how we go about improving and optimizing under those conditions and constraints. First up, Rubik's here is going to talk about time optimization.
Before I talk about time optimization, there's one thing I'd like to sort of clarify in terms of terminology that we'll be using for the rest of the video. There are 2 different kinds of limits. There's a soft limit and a hard limit. A hard limit in a game is sort of...
In my pants.
Not in your pants. That's a super soft limit. But what I'm talking about here is a soft limit being a given metric of score that you don't know is the maximum or best achievable level of doing something. Whereas that would be a hard limit. Like if you can achieve a certain sort of optimal solution that you know cannot be done any better based on the constraints of the game and the way the game works, then that's denoted as a hard limit. Soft limit is where sort of you can get close to what is best possible, but due to human error or things of that nature, you can't do the best that's humanly possible. Like
lag, computer performance will have a large impact upon soft limit games, especially dealing with time.
So an example of sort of a hard limit time game in terms of time optimization would be something like Open Doors 2. There's a certain limit to how fast your character, or whatever you want to call it, can move.
Box.
How fast your box can move. And there's definitely a shortest solution to the exit. And so there's going to be a certain limit as to how fast you can get from start to finish. And therefore, for the entire game, there's a certain time limit which you cannot do better than. So one of the most important aspects to keep in mind when optimizing a game with a hard time limit is to first break it down to subcomponents. In this case, you'd want to find sort of the shortest path from beginning to end. And after you've done that, like, the hard work is finished. It's basically then a matter of using your fingers and pressing the keys as fast as you can at the right time so that you can traverse through the shortest path as quickly as possible. And sometimes it takes multiple tries to get the best time possible, but this is, again, it sort of ties back to the teamwork aspect. If you're working with a group of people and they all sort of know what the shortest path is, and everyone's going as fast as they can, eventually everyone sort of approaches a certain limit of time in a game like this where you know that you can't do better. Occasionally someone will get 1 second better, and once we know that it's possible, then we all work as hard as we can until we achieve that limit. And so an example of sort of a soft limit time optimization would be something like Imperial Axis, as Tass mentioned in his last video, which I'm sure you all enjoyed my rage. But really,
I certainly did.
Yeah. But yeah, great. Now I don't even know what I was saying now. But seriously, like, Imperial Axis is a good example of this, because even though you can move as fast as you can, there are a lot of inconsistencies that don't exist in a game like Open Doors 2. In Open Doors 2, you can only go side to side, up and down, and that's really all you can do. In Imperial Axis, you have 360 degrees of freedom, basically, depending on where you're moving, your left and right motion. And you can go all over the place. The momentum is very hard to control, and as a result, there's a lot of variance that's inherent in sort of the times that you get on a given level. Even though you can still do better and better and better in terms of your time, there comes up a couple of cases where you might have an exceptionally clean run, or just a lucky sort of break in terms of something that would be hard to reproduce every time, and you can do better on the soft optimization. Another game like this would be Super Stacker 2, if you want to talk about that.
I think we've all tried our optimization times through speed running, and a couple of different things come into play. Is that you're not always going to click as fast as you are, or sometimes the game mechanics themselves will interfere, whereby you'll click inside one of your other blocks and it won't drop. Certain things with that, like the timer, will come into play, so it can be lag affected, as well as, I think a lot of the difference between the soft and the hard cap really deals in terms of how wide open the gameplay is. Something like we said, Open Doors 2, it's pretty simple. There aren't too many outside mechanics, which makes it much easier to have a defined hard limit to it. Whereas a game like Imperial Axis, dealing with momentum and the 360 degrees of freedom and bouncing off of different crystalline structures, or Super Stacker 2, where you have 10 different levels to go through, you can have fractions of a second that'll interfere and take away points here and there, will go and cause it to be much harder to define and reproduce across consistency a hard limit, which therefore creates your soft limit. Other examples of soft limit are games like Pyro or Two Rooms.